As soon as the first cool breeze of September hits, I declare it autumn. The longing for cozy knit sweaters, spiced treats, hearty meals, warm drinks, and a Dutch oven is simmering on the stove all day comes along with it, and it must be satisfied. Join me in the Homestead kitchen this week as the border of summer meets fall with cozy season recipes you'll want to make on repeat all autumn long. Well, hello there, friends, new and old. I am Kelsey, and this is Seed and Sparrow Homestead. I am so glad that you are here. The first recipe I'm going to share with you all is a childhood favorite. It's something I grew up making with my mom, and something that is very popular in the PA Dutch region that we are from, and that is pot pie. I'm going to make a ham pot pie, and it may not be soup season where you are yet, but here in South Central Pennsylvania, we have had an early fall, and the temps have been hovering right about 70 degrees, really cool mornings, cool evenings, so it is officially soup season here for me. If it is not for you, then take this as inspiration for what is to come. To begin, I took a ham end, about 2.5 pounds, and I made sure it was bone-in. You want that bone for a nice, hearty, flavorful broth, and I allowed that to simmer for about 3 to 4 hours. I have prepared some veggies, some carrots, celery, and onions, chopped them up. They will cook in a buttered skillet over medium heat just until they are right about pork tender. You want them a little bit on the undercooked side because they'll continue to cook in our pot pie. Now, like I said, I am using a ham here, but you can use a chicken. We do both here, but my husband was really craving some ham pot pie. I've taken 6 potatoes and cubed them, boiled them till they were just about fork tender, and I have poured in about a cup of the potato water to the broth. That's just going to help thicken it up and also give it a little bit more flavor. Going to transfer that ham here onto a cutting board, not so gracefully, allow that to cool down, but I wanted you to see here after it has been simmering away, the meat just pulls away from the bone marrow has softened up and gone into the broth, and it is just absolutely divine. The last component we need for our pot pie are some noodles. Now, pot pie may mean something different to you than it does to me, but like I said, here in PA Dutch country, we make it more like a stew with some really thick noodles in place of pie crust, and this is my preferred way to have pot pie. And don't let it intimidate you. The noodle making is very simple. It's 1 egg for every 1 cup of flour. I have done 2 eggs and 2 cups of flour for my size Dutch oven. And then you just pour in some water slowly until it starts to come together into a dough. You knead it for a good bit, and then you're going to cover it and let it rest for about 30 minutes so that gluten can form. It's going to roll out much easier for you if you do that. After the dough has rested, we're going to flour our work surface here and roll them out. You can make them on the thicker side or the thinner side. I like them kind of in between. I just recommend making sure they're all the same thickness so that they all cook up at the same rate. I like to put all the noodles onto a cutting board just for easy transportation over to the Dutch oven. Just make sure that they are well floured, otherwise they will stick together in a huge clump. You want your broth to be rapidly boiling, and you're going to drop them in one at a time, again, because you will have a very large clump of noodles. Ask me how I know. Allow these noodles to cook at a boil for about 6 to 8 minutes. It just depends on how thick you have rolled your noodles out. Once they are finished, you can start adding everything back in. I've shredded up my ham. That goes in, as well as all of my veggies, and then I will give it a taste and see if we need to add some salt. The ham is already salted, so usually I don't have to. This time I added just a pinch. Of course, some pepper as well. You could add in some thyme or some rosemary if you like that. I just left it as is. There's nothing like cozy seasoned soups to nourish the body. You all know I'm passionate about living a healthy life. I'm passionate about stewardship of our bodies, and I spend a lot of time and energy making sure we are nourishing them well by growing and preserving food and cooking from scratch so I can control what we consume. I also try to create an environment free of toxins, one we can thrive in that helps our bodies both when we are awake and when we sleep, and that's one of the reasons I've partnered with Birch Living.
When it came time for us to switch out our old mattress, I knew I wanted to invest in something that was non-toxic, free of the junk that is found in most mattresses, things like polyurethane foams, which can cause harmful off-gassing, and fiberglass, some other sketchy stuff that is not good for our health. We needed a higher quality, natural mattress that would still support restful sleep without exposing us to things that would harm our health. We spend a third of our life in bed, and I want to make sure that time is well spent. Birch has worked to create a beautifully and responsibly sourced mattress using organic wool, cotton, and 100% natural latex. It's so comfortable, feels like a cloud, yet still provides great support. I always look forward to laying down at night. Seriously, it feels like a reward at the end of a long day. After having our Birch mattress now for a few months, the aches and pains that I would wake up with in the morning have now diminished, and sleep actually feels restful since I'm not tossing and turning all night long. Also, if you sleep hot, like my husband, I refer to him as my personal heater. Because Birch uses wool, the mattress is breathable, so it's not going to hold on to heat, which is great for him. He sleeps nice and comfortable. With your Birch mattress, you get a 100-night sleep trial. That means over 3 months to test it out and make sure that you love it, which I know you will. And Birch is convenient. You can order online, delivered to your door in a box, free shipping in the US. They offer setup and removal, and they make mattress buying easy. We love our Birch mattress, and honestly, I think that you will too. And right now, Birch Living is having an awesome Labor Day sale, and they're offering my viewers an exclusive 27% discount site-wide. You can check the link in the description or go to birchliving.com/seed and sparrow and enter my code at checkout. And if you're looking for a safe and sustainable mattress for your little ones, right now is the perfect time to check out the Birch Kids Natural Mattress to ensure your kiddos are sleeping safely with a natural and organic mattress. Thank you to Birch Living for sponsoring today's video.
Now, even though I said I was craving fall, I like to soft launch it a bit. I don't go straight for the pumpkin recipes because I believe that apples deserve their time to shine, and September is most definitely apple month around here. So we're going to do some apple recipes in this video. Pumpkin will be coming shortly, but let's have some fun with apples. We're going to make an apple spiced cake with some cream cheese frosting and a caramel sauce. It's absolutely delicious. Now you can make the cake gluten-free with a 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. I'm just using some all-purpose flour here. You're going to need 3 2/3 cup of flour, 3 teaspoons baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. You're also going to need a tablespoon of apple pie spice. I like to make my own. I do 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, and a 1/2 tablespoon of cloves. Mix those things together, and then you have your apple pie spice. So 1 tablespoon of that mix, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and we're going to mix that together. You saw me earlier grating up some apples. You want to finely grate 2 apples. I use some Pink Lady apples, but you can use whatever you have available. We're going to mix that into our dry mix here. And then we're going to melt some butter. You need a 1/2 cup of butter. You want that cooled before you add it in. We're also going to add a 1/2 cup of oil. I use some avocado oil, a 1/2 cup of yogurt, just plain Greek yogurt is what I used, 1 cup of buttermilk, and you're also going to need 1 1/2 tablespoons of vanilla. Mix these things up well, and we're going to transfer to a 9x13 baking dish. You want it greased and lined with parchment so you can easily remove it from the pan. It'll bake at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. While we wait, we're going to make some caramel sauce. So you need 4 tablespoons of butter. You're going to melt that. Add 1 cup of brown sugar, stir together, and add 1/2 cup of heavy cream. Increase the heat to about medium, and we're going to stir this pretty frequently and allow it to thicken for about 4 to 5 minutes. You're going to see here it's starting to lighten up. It's going to be bubbly, and it'll start to coat your spoon. That's when you know it is ready. Don't let it get too hot, and don't cook it for too long. You'll end up with a really thick toffee. We're just going for a sauce. So I'm going to remove that from the heat, add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to see it bubble up. It's just the alcohol burning off. Stir that up, and if you'd like it to be a salted caramel, go ahead and add a pinch or 2 of salt. And we're just going to allow this to cool. I let my pot pie simmer for a few hours until dinner. Let all of those flavors mingle together and get super yummy. This is such a nostalgic recipe for me. It's something that I grew up with, and every time I eat it, it's just like being home. It's like a warm hug, and I love it. But I'm interested to know, are you team pie, like constructed pie, pot pie, or are you team soup pot pie? Let me know down in the comments. Okay, let's make some cream cheese icing. You need 8 ounces of cream cheese and 1 stick of butter. I'm gonna mix that together and then add 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and you'll need 2 cups of powdered sugar. That's all it is. Sometimes if it ends up a little bit thicker because my cream cheese and butter are really cold, I'll add a splash of milk just to get it to a nice consistency. My friend, if only you could smell this through your screen, it would give you all of the warm and cozies. You should definitely make it and have your house smelling like fall this weekend. As soon as the cake cooled, I went ahead and I iced it with the cream cheese. Now, if I could have changed something, it would have been to use less icing because this is a very rich cake and you really didn't need all of this icing, but I had made it. I didn't want to waste it, and as I am talking about this now, I should have just frozen it, but I didn't think about it in the moment, so it just got used. But I would definitely use less icing and more caramel sauce. The caramel sauce was absolutely divine, and it could have used a touch more, but I just swirled it in there. I try to make everything look pretty because we eat with our eyes first, and I like just making things special. I've traded in my iced coffees of the summer for some nice warm lattes and cappuccinos. There's nothing like a crisp fall-like morning with a warm drink in hand, cozied up on the couch. Usually start my morning with some devotionals and maybe catching up on a TV show. Fall mornings are my favorite. I am loving this caramel sauce in my coffees. It's a great way to use that up. So I just do about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half in a large cup of coffee, and I froth up some milk. You can sprinkle a little bit of salt in there if you'd like some more of a salted caramel latte, but please do try the caramel sauce in some coffee. For an after-school treat this week, I decided to make some brown sugar Pop-Tarts. This is a half-baked harvest recipe. I will link it down below. As always, you can find today's recipes down in the description. So for this cookie dough part, you're going to need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, a half cup of dark brown sugar, 2 sticks or 1 cup of cold butter shredded, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Now, she kind of left it out here on her blog, but you need some water to make this dough come together. I ended up adding about a 1/3 cup. It did say down in the instructions to add a 1/4 cup, but that wasn't quite enough. It will be crumbly, so you'll need to use your hands to bring it together a bit. You'll want to divide the dough in half and roll out each half into about a 10-inch square. Now, she used a 9x9 pan and just pressed it into the bottom. I don't have a 9x9 pan, so I just rolled it out into a 10-inch square and put it on a lined cookie sheet, and that worked just fine. For the filling, you need 1 cup of dark brown sugar, a tablespoon of flour, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of butter melted, and a 1/4 cup of apple butter. I actually used a little bit more than that, and it still turned out just fine. 2 teaspoons of vanilla and a teaspoon of salt. Take your filling and pour it over the bottom layer. I did take it out almost all the way to the sides, and then you're gonna smooth that out, put the top layer on, and you do want to make sure that you are crimping the edges. I just used my fingers, and I did cut off some of the excess dough because the top stretched out a little bit. Now, she says to pop this into the freezer for 15 minutes. If you are using glass bakeware, just be careful. You don't want any temperature shock happening, so it might be wise to bring it back up to room temp a little bit before putting it into the oven. But 350 degrees, she said, for up to 45 minutes. Mine was done at about 35. For dinner, we're gonna make a lovely creamy garlic chicken. So I'm making my seasoning blend here. It is 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, teaspoon of paprika, teaspoon of onion powder, and a teaspoon of rosemary. You'll sprinkle that mixture onto some chicken breasts. I took 2 chicken breasts, I sliced them in half, and then I pounded them thin to make sure they cook nice and evenly. You're then gonna take them and you're going to pop them in some flour. You can use a gluten-free flour if you'd like. You'll need about a 1/3 cup. Make sure they're coated well, and then we're gonna fry them up in a pan with some hot oil and butter. I did half and half, a tablespoon of each. We're gonna make a comfort food with this, some good old-fashioned mashed potatoes. I am taking 6 small potatoes, and I am going to boil them until they are fork tender. Cook the chicken until it is golden brown on each side and registers 165 degrees and should be about 4 to 5 minutes per side. Here are the Pop-Tart bars all finished. Some of that filling did cook out a bit and it caramelized around the edges and it was pretty tough. So I just went ahead and I sliced that off. It gave me a nice edge then as well. We're gonna make some icing for it. It is 2 cups of powdered sugar, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. That's what her recipe said, but that ended up not being enough. It wasn't a good consistency at all, so I added a bit more maple syrup. I did a sprinkling of cinnamon and about a teaspoon or 2 of vanilla. I just kept tasting it until I liked the way it tasted. Now, maybe it's just an icing thing with me this week, but I thought it was too much icing. Again, it was very sweet, very rich. Both great flavors, but just a bit too much. I would have rather had more of the bar flavor come through than just the sweetness of the icing. So I'd say you could make about half the amount of icing and spread that on top. These were a lovely after-school treat. They're much better for you than the stuff you can get at the store. However, like I said, they're a treat. There's still obviously a bunch of sugar in here, but at least you know what all of the ingredients are. Now somehow, some of the footage has disappeared. I removed the chicken from the skillet and I added a tablespoon of butter, about a tablespoon of minced garlic, and I allowed that to get nice and fragrant. And then I added a half cup of chicken stock, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, mixed that together, and then 10 ounces of heavy cream. A half cup of grated Parmesan goes in next, and then you just add salt and pepper to taste. I allowed this to simmer over low heat for a few minutes, just until it started to thicken up. After the potatoes had boiled, I popped them into a colander. I attempted to get the skin off of them. It's much easier at this point to get the skin off rather than peeling them beforehand. However, I would advise waiting until they cool off so you don't scald your fingertips. But I mean, hey, what are some scalded fingertips? I kept my mashed potatoes fairly simple, just heavily salted. Added probably 4 tablespoons of butter and a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup of milk. Once the sauce had thickened, I added my chicken back in because it kind of cooled off a bit. So I just wanted to put it back in there until it was heated through. And then I went ahead and I started plating everything up. I did open up a can of my home jarred green beans from last year's garden. Still trying to work through some of my canned goods before we move. And thinking about it now, I could have used some of my canned carrots in that pot pie, but oh well. All of the recipes this week were so lovely. I hope you give them a try. Cozy recipes are my jam, and this fall, this cool weather we are experiencing in early fall, is so welcomed after this summer. We had a doozy of a summer, just very hot, very humid, without any break. And beyond that, it was a stressful season for me, for our family, and I am just really looking forward to coming out of it and having a fresh start, a new season, a season that I absolutely love. And thinking that it could be the last fall we experience on this homestead in this house, I really want to savor it. This place is always my favorite during the fall, so I'm going to romanticize it as much as I can and make it as special as I can. So lots and lots of cozy content will be heading your way. I hope you enjoyed coming along for this week's cozy season-inspired recipes. If you did enjoy today's video, would you please hit that thumbs up button and leave me an emoji down in the comments. I appreciate you all so much. You have a blessed week, my friend. Until next time, take care.